Hello.
Hello. Permit microphone so I'm
You heard me.
Yes, I can hear you, Ma. Good evening,
Okay.
Dr.
Oh, good evening,
Olubumi.
sir.
Wow.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Please, can you change your name to your official name? I know this is Farmer
Oh, okay.
Lawrence. So we need it
Okay.
to, yes. So we need exactly your name to work in class. Mr. Ahon, am I correct? Please unmute your mic. Hello, Mr. Ahon. Unmute your microphone. Your microphone is muted. Okay, I can see your name now.
Okay, hello.
Actually, when we are in class. Okay, Mr. Ahon, am I correct the way I pronounced your name?
Yes, Mr. Rahon. Yes, Wilfred.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you are welcome to class. Actually,
Thank you
let me
very
say
much.
that this class starts exactly at 7, and once it is 7, it takes off. And we don't wait. Whoever joins will meet us. So we have to move on. Mr. Kundayo, don't mute your microphone yet. We are going to start where we are supposed to start. So
Okay.
when there are many people in class, you can mute your microphone when it is time to listen. All right.
Okay,
Because you are two
Thank
now,
you.
I'm not sure there will be interference yet. Mr. Ahon, I was saying that you said you were just added. So you have not been added to individual course page. Because for 901, you should be added to that page so that you can get information on the page. If I don't see you on the page, I won't add you to class topics to be submitted. So you will need to be added to specific course pages so that you can have access to information on such course page, because this one is just for lecture and all the day-to-day information are shared on the course page. So you are welcome, Mr. Ekundayo and Mr. Ehahon, you are welcome. I will start by saying that my own name
Thank
is
you. Thank you. Thank you.
my name is Odubumi Alawode from the University of Ibadan. So I'm an associate professor from the University of Ibadan, Department of Agricultural Economics. So I've been facilitating this course for some time now, at least a few years since the program started. I've been facilitating this course. Then let me say that this course is not a course that is taught, because this is an adult class, this is a PhD class, DBA, PhD. So it's an adult class. It is not to be taught, it is to be facilitated. So because of that, there are topics that have been allocated to each class member as they submit. Subsequently, I will just introduce the class and each class member will present to the class and we all learn together from the presentation. Now, as I stipulated uh, on the class, on the lecture information for the day, the few people in class will introduce themselves. Then I will go into my own introductory lecture that will come back for discussion. So, Mr. How can I start from you? I met you in class.
Pardon?
What you do? You introduce yourself to the class. What you do, and your name and what you do. Introduce yourself to the class.
Okay, my name is Wilfred Ise Erahon. I am a farmer. I am a farmer by profession now.
Okay.
Prior to this, my background is I'm a chartered accountant. And I was in a paid employment up to 2019. When I left paid employment to start my farming business. I was
So you
an
are now
executive.
fully in agribusiness. Okay.
Yes, I'm now fully in agribusiness.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rahon. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
we are still going to share our experiences after the introductory lecture. Ms. Ekunda, let's come to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mayowa Ekundayo. I am a co-founder and the COO at Post Harvest Solutions Limited. Post Harvest Solutions Limited, we are a tech-driven market linkage solution organization working with farmers to provide linkages in terms of market linkages, access to inputs, and we also guarantee that households are able to access this nutritious food at affordable rates, as well as ensuring that they get them within the healthiest approach best possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ekunda. Thank you. Madam Doyi, can we listen to you? Hello, please unmute your microphone. Madam Doyi, unmute your microphone.
Okay, ma. Good evening, ma.
Good evening, ma.
Can you hear me, ma?
All right. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, ma.
Oh,
Hello.
The network
I
is
think
bad.
it's a network, but can you hear me? If you can hear me, we can hear you.
Yes, ma. I can hear you.
So please go
Okay,
ahead.
ma.
We can hear you too.
Okay. Oh,
I think your network is fluctuating actually. Okay. Okay, let's go.
Yes, ma.
Okay, please go ahead again.
Okay. I said I'm Adepoju Oladoyin Aderonke.
Okay.
I work with Federal College of Agriculture, More Plantation, Ibadan. And
Okay.
yes, ma. And I said I finished from, I did my undergraduate and master's at University of Ibadan. I am not really into agribusiness because I've been teaching for most part of my career. But I have I've interacted with students who are into agribusiness one way or the other. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, ma'am. When did you pass through University of Ibadan?
My undergraduate 2007, master's 2011.
Okay, I didn't meet you there.
Yes. No,
All
ma.
right.
No reason.
Do you teach any part of agribusiness?
Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
Okay. Then
Yes,
you're
ma.
also a shareholder. At least you're a stakeholder in agribusiness. All right, thank
Yes,
you.
ma.
Mr.
Yes.
Ayodeji, can we come to you?
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everybody.
It's madam.
I'm female. I'm not a male.
Yeah, I've heard your voice. I'm picking them one by one. All right, please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Ayodeji Osezeli. I'm a day-old chick merchant. I market day-old chicks for farms and hatcheries, and we also do the distribution to different parts of Nigeria. I had my BSc and MSc from University of Ibadan, Animal Science Department.
Oh, thank you. All right. You are fully into agribusiness because by the time you deal with day-old chicks, you are the center point. You are the center point. Okay. Olajide Taiwo, I can't remember if it's a madam or a mister now. I think I just communicated on our page. I think it should be her. Am I sure? Please, can you introduce yourself? Hello. Olajide Taiwo.
Hello, ma.
Okay, it's okay. Please
So
go
I'm
ahead.
Olajide Taiwo Oluwaseyi. I graduated from University of Ibadan, Animal Science. So I did
Okay.
Animal Science for MSc too.
Wow, it's like University of Ibadan is trying to hijack this place. Okay, that's fine. When did you pass through University of Ibadan?
I think 2013, ma.
Okay. I think I just came when you left. All right. Thank you. At that point, I think for now, we'll have to stop at that point because we're still going to share our experiences after now. So that's the first step. Now, before you came in, I introduced myself on the page. I think it's only Mr. Haron for now that will need to ask that it should be added to the course page. Every other person here is already on the course page. And as I put it on the page that the submission is already late, 2 weeks expired yesterday. So for those that have not, please ensure that you submit. But some others have submitted. They are only to put in one thing or the other so that they can do the final submission. I want to go to my own introductory lecture, and that introductory lecture is going to talk about agribusiness, so that each of us can have an insight into what we think agribusiness is, our own notion, and the way we think agribusiness runs. I use my phone to share. I use my phone for the class. So, Mr. Ekundayo, please, you have my back. Though I'm where the network is fair, but you can't tell. You know we're in Nigeria. So, if in case I am cut off, if you are seeing the slides and you cannot hear my voice, please put in a call. But if I'm completely cut off, I will know. So it means I'm trying to join. I'm trying to rejoin. But if you cannot hear my voice, please just put in a call. Once I see it, I will know that I'm not audible. So you have my back. I'll begin to share now.
All right.
All right. So before the class presentation starts, because each class member, as I've said before, will share with the class on a topic. So the main aim of doing that is that the person presenting will lead us into that topic. After presenting, we'll all take it off from there, discuss, talk about our experiences on that particular topic. Then we move ahead to another one. But as the introductory part, I want to talk about the concept of agribusiness. So agribusiness includes all those business and management activities performed by firms that provide input to farm sector, that agribusiness includes all those business and management activities performed by firms that provide input to farm sector. Let's first of all take note of that. Provision of input to the farm sector. So after providing input to the farm sector, there is a production of farm products and or processing, transport, finance, and handle or market farm products. Now, anything that comes directly from the farm is called the produce. So your maize, your cassava, yam. Please only Mr. Kunda is allowed to unmute. Every other person mute your microphone so there will be no interference. Please mute your microphone. Only Mr. Lawrence. Only Mr. Ekudayo. Sorry. Okay, so we are talking about the provision of farm input to the farm sector. So in the sector, we have production activities. So after that, there can be, I said whatever comes from the farm is called the produce. Your cassava, your yam, even your cocoa beans, everything that comes directly from the farm is called a produce. So processing can be done at farm level. So we call it farm level processing. For example, you cannot harvest your cocoa and bring it out like that. You have to ensure that the sweatings are removed. Then you dry the beans to the right flavor. So once it is well dried, then you package it. It is still a produce because all you have done is farm level processing. So from that, it gets to processors. Now, the actual processing is when you change the form of that produce and you now have products. So you have products from produce. So what, for example, if you look at your Bonfita, you look at Milo, you can no longer trace the cocoa that has been used. You cannot see cocoa beans again. If you trace your Semofita, you trace all other flours like that are for making balls, you cannot trace the maize that has been used. If you look at your cornflakes, you can no longer trace the maize. That is what we call transformation. So in the real processing subsector, we have transformation. Then thereafter, they are marketed. So as food items go from farm to fork, then we are talking about agribusiness. And not only that, those processes alone, but also making it a business. Once we have it along that value chain, then we call it value chain, meaning that value is being generated. When value is being generated, then somebody has to pay for it. Who pays for the value that is generated along the chain? That is the consumer. So the consumer pays for that. That is why it is the combination of business and management activities. It encompasses all activities from the farm to the consumer that are relevant to the eventual production, transformation. I've talked about production that takes place in the farm sector, then transformation in processing and value adding. As processing takes place from one actor to the other, you have value addition, distribution, and retailing of food, fiber, and associated products such as chemicals and pharmaceutical substrates. We have all these from farm produce. So you have them as product. So we have the production, the transformation, that is processing, and you had value. So we are not talking about after value has been added, you still had the value of place, taking it to farmers, to consumers from place to place through the many retailers that we have. So what are we saying here? Like Mr. Christopher said, his own organization works on market linkage, getting the food items or the product to consumers at the right place, at the right time, in the right form that they want it. That is the deal. That's where you are talking about agribusiness. So an agribusiness is a dynamic sector and continuously meets current demands of consumers in domestic and world markets. In domestic market within a nation and world market, we are talking about international trade. So what is this saying? It's talking about the fact that it changes. Now, remember, cast your mind back to when agriculture was subsistence that the farmer produces for himself and his family. He doesn't need to go through so many things. They just produce. At times they eat their farm produce raw. At times they do farm level processing, and they are done. They are done. But as time went on, the farmer also needed money, so he sold his marketable surplus to the market. He gives to his family, but also the surplus that he produces, he takes it to the market so that he has money to do other things that the farm cannot produce or that his own family cannot produce. So from that, and actually in many developing countries, especially in Nigeria, we have more than 60% of the farmers that feed us are semi-subsistent farmers. That's why, as I'm referring to it again, that he talked about the market linkage between those farmers and the consumers so that they are able to produce up to standard and they are linked to the market so that the value they have generated, they have a reward for it. And what is that reward? Income or revenue and profit. So that sector becomes dynamic because now we talk about the market within the nation. So something produced in the north can be taken in the southwest, from the southwest can be taken in the northeast, and so on and so forth. That is talking about domestic markets. Then when we talk about world markets, from one country to another. And so because of that, we come into that business phase of agriculture. So taking agriculture as a business, because whatever you produce, it's going to be eaten or used in another nation. So because of what I have said now, from that explanation, we can talk about agribusiness value chain, which is another term used to describe agribusiness. Why is it called agribusiness value chain? There are actors. There are actors. For example, the input supplier, the producer at the farm sector, you have the processor, and you have the marketers. We can break them down into various smaller actors. So we have those nodes of agribusiness. And because from one actor to the other, or from one node to the other, we have value being added. That is why it is called value chain. And talking about this value chain, you can talk about different agricultural produce value chain, agricultural produce value chain. You can talk about the cassava value chain. You can talk about the maize value chain. You can talk about any product, any produce, it's value chain. So the agribusiness value chain include the following sectors. In the literature, you can find it as 3. In some other literature, you can find it as 4. So we have the inputs, but for the purpose of this discussion, we have 3 sectors. The first one is the input sector. The second is the production sector, while the third is the output sector, subdivided into 2. We have processing and marketing. The input sector, the production sector, and the output sector comprising processing and marketing. Now let's take them one by one quickly. So by that, your own activities, you will know where you belong, the node or the sector where you belong in the agribusiness value chain. So the input sector is made up of firms that supply input to be used in agricultural production. So what they do is to supply input to the farm sector so that they can go into agricultural production. The major inputs used by producers include land. That is common to all producers. Even if you are going to, in when we look at land in its real and deeper sense, it's not talking about the solid portion of the earth surface alone. Whatever is on the surface is part of the land when you look at the deeper meaning. So whether you now do it in water or whether you place it anywhere, wherever we can see as we are looking at it, the nature entirely is land. So land is common to all agricultural production. The labor is common to all. Water is common to all, though used at different levels of intensity. Then we have feed, that is common to livestock. Then fertilizer to crop, pesticides to all, whether crop or livestock. Then you can machinery common to all, depending on the level at which you operate. Energy is common to all. Credit, everyone needs capital to run, and management information. And take note that management information and activities, they determine the extent of the success of an agribusiness organization. Now, farm productivity is affected by the changes in input sector. Is garbage in, garbage out. Whatever is delivered to the production sector will determine how the production sector will come out. So the level of productivity is affected, or farm productivity is affected by the input that is delivered to the farm sector. So for example, if we have improved varieties of seeds and feed, timely and adequate provision of fertilizer, including the facilitating services offered to farmers, they help to improve the output. That's why the input suppliers are very, very critical, because as we have improvement in the input use of the farm, so the farm productivity also rises. Now let's look at examples of firms in the input sector. For we say drugs are used. It could be for livestock. We have, for example, we have Pfizer, we have FeedSyn. For seed, we have the National Seed Service, which is now called Agricultural Seed Council. Then we have research institutes. They work on improved seed. For example, we have We have the IITA in Ibadan here, where they come up with improved planting varieties. Then we have fertilizer by National Fertilizer Company of Nigeria, NAFCON. Then we have Indorama Eleme Fertilizer and Chemicals Limited. I'm not saying these are exhaustive, but it's just to stimulate our minds and know that agribusiness is actually very, very broad and it can develop any economy. Then we have agrochemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. In this category, we have an example of mobile. When you talk about machinery and equipment, we have Disengulf. Then when you talk about petroleum, we have NNPC. Don't we need petroleum on the farm? We do, because they drive our engines. It drives our engines, our tractors, our equipment. We need fuel for them. Then transportation. In your vehicles, you have automobile tubes, you have tires, you have foam. For example, then we have Dunlop, Michelin, Nissan. Electricity, we have distribution companies that we have now, that we call them discos. So you can just see how wide it is for the firms that actually supply input to the farm sector. That's telling you that it is really, really wide. Now let's look at the production sector. The production sector is often referred to as the farm sector. The production sector is the farm sector, and it includes all firms directly involved in agricultural production or the growing of food and fiber. It is the center of agribusiness because that's whatever you bring to the farm cannot become anything except there's production. And there's no processor that can have anything to process except there's production. So it is a center of agribusiness. So it includes crop production. The crop production can be arable crop, and it can be tree crops. We have livestock producers, for example, poultry, rabbitry, cattle rearing, piggery, snarery, grass cutter rearing, and so on. Then we have apiculture. That's when you rear honey. Then we have fishery. Then we have some other ones now. Some cultivate mushrooms and so on and so forth. So the production sector is characterized largely by small producers and few large commercial producers in Nigeria. We all know this. We have few commercial producers, but most of the produce that we use in Nigeria, they are from these small holders who are semi subsistence farmers. As this sector grows in size, that is the production sector, the level of output and efficiency of the other sectors of agribusiness are directly affected. So if the farm sector grows bigger, the input suppliers will have more business to do, while the output sector will also have more business to do. But if it shrinks, it shows that the input suppliers will have less to do, less to supply to the farm, while the processors and the marketers will also have less to handle. Now let's talk about the output sector. It is the largest of the three sectors with many establishments. It is responsible for the transformation of the raw farm output into a final consumer product at retail level. I've explained that. So the output sector is very large because it has both the processors and marketers. There are some, please unmute your microphone. There are some processors that are also marketers. There are some processors that are also marketers. So that's why it is the output sector. So it is the largest of the three sectors with many establishments. It is responsible for the transformation of the raw farm output into a final consumer product at retail level. The sector also serves as a source of employment for a large number of the population. We can just think about it, how food is being distributed on daily basis. In many developing countries like Nigeria, there are a large number of small-scale processors and marketers and few large corporate organizations. So many. Now look at cassava alone. Look at the number of women taking processing into fufu. Just take cassava alone. The number of women processing and marketing fufu. The processing cassava and marketing fufu. Those are processing cassava and marketing lafu. That is the cassava flour. Look at the number processing cassava and giving gari. Look at and marketing gari. Look at those that are processing cassava into starch. And just look at the women alone. the number of women that are engaged. When you go to nearby markets, everywhere you find fufu, you find gari, you find lafu, you find all sorts. You find the solid pap there. Some women are processing maize to give solid pap, and so on and so forth. So many of them. So you can look at the number of people that survive only on even the small scale processing and marketing of this produce and products. So you can just think about it. So that's why this sector employs so many people, so many retailers. So we are saying that there are a large number of small scale processors and marketers and few large corporate organizations. Some of these corporate ones have integrated the processing and marketing activities. Please mute your microphone. So, for example, Unilever integrated the processing and marketing, and some of these large establishments too, they integrated back to the farm level to ensure the supply of raw materials in the required quantity and quality. They integrate back. That is backward integration. They process actually, and some of them they do processing and marketing together. And in order to even make it more robust, they backward they integrate backward to production so that they can have continuous flow of raw materials into their processing um, uh, factories. Now, examples of firms under this sector are beverage producers, that is in the output sector. For example, we have Nestle and Cadbury, confectionaries like EFCO, tobacco, we have British American Tobacco Company, food canners, those are prepare those that have products in cans. Then we have textile companies. I'm sure we know textile materials, they come from cotton from the farm. We have fish processors, as many as you can think about. Those are the firms that are in this sector. Those involved in marketing and distribution include myriads of retailers and wholesalers. You can just think about it. If you have lived in small towns before, the number of people that will be saying there is ogi in the morning that you can use to make liquid pap. Just look at the number of persons. Those that will be taking solid pap, those that will prepare moi, those that will prepare rice and beans. Just think about all those things. They are all parts of this sector, because what they try to do is to ensure that they get those produce and process into food products that will get to the table of the final consumers. So they are all part of this of agribusiness. So we are saying that we have myriads of retailers and wholesalers. Wholesale operations involve sales to retailers. We can remember that from our O-level economics, that the wholesalers, they sell to retailers, other wholesalers and industrial users, and sometimes to the consumers. A wholesaler may buy directly from the farmer and sell to another wholesaler or food processor, or wholesaler may buy from processor and sell to retailers. Retailers have the largest number of actors in the chain. Retailers, they can get anywhere, they can go anywhere. They reach people where they are, whether they are working in some obscure places, they take food to them. So those are the retailers. They go to any extent. Even establishments that are selling food too, they have also become retailers, because when people order, they get those bike men to go and deliver the order. So by that, they are also able to reach the final consumers where they are. Now, having talked about that, let's look at the importance of agribusiness. We have talked about the three main sectors: the input sector, the production sector, and the output sector. And we have said under the output sector, we have the processing and marketing. So let's now look at, from this little presentation, let's look at the importance of agribusiness. Kindly mute your microphone, please. We have household noise. Agribusiness is the link between the agricultural sector and a major part of the industrial sector. So agribusiness, the agricultural sector, now we're talking about the traditional agriculture and the industry. What makes it become agribusiness is the fact that there is that linkage between the traditional agricultural sector and the industrial sector. So that's why we have agribusiness. It deals with how the agricultural sector provides the input, how they provide it as raw materials for the industrial sector, as well as how the industrial sector provides the farm inputs such as fertilizers, pesticides, machines, processing, and post-harvest technologies. It is an integral part of the national economy. So it is agribusiness that actually links the agricultural sector and industrial sector. So the industrial sector supplies into the agricultural, into the farm production sector, the raw materials, and eventually the farm production sector also supplies its own produce as raw materials to the industrial sector. So with that, agribusiness suggests and directs the government and private sectors for development of subsectors. So the government sees how these things are going, how the economy is developing based on this, so they're able to know, okay, what we need to do now is to help the production sector. What we need to do now is to help the small scale farmers so that they can produce more. What we need to do now is to help in processing at farm level so that we can increase the shelf life of our produce. So also, like we said in class before this presentation started, agribusiness provides our daily requirements of food and fiber products, not just providing, but it provides at the desired place. That is where people are, where they want it, and at the required form. You process into what they like, and at the required time. So that is very important. You provide it at the desired place, at the required form and time. This comes from the efficient, kindly mute your microphone, please. This comes from the efficient and hard work of many business personnel in providing input, farm and food production, and also in marketing them. So for us to have our food requirement, food and farmer requirement at the desired place, time, and required form, then some people are are working relentlessly. And what do we mean by that? Those actors, the input suppliers, the producers, the processors, and the marketers, they are working effectively to ensure that we have this kind of supply. Agribusiness provides crucial forward and backward linkages. I have talked about this. That is, the backward linkage include supply of input, credit, production technologies, farm services to the farm sector. That's the backward linkage. So when we talk about the backward linkage, it links with the input sector. Then when you talk about the forward linkage, you are talking about storage, processing, transportation, and marketing. That's why the other time we said the production sector is at the center of agribusiness. So it has a backward linkage to the input sector and forward linkage to the output sector. Agribusiness generates potential employment opportunities. That is not negotiable, because since we discussed today, we have seen so many people that are involved in the agribusiness value chain, those that are actors, the small scale, the small holders, the small scale processors, the small scale farmers. They are all parts of agribusiness. And then as we talked about the value chain, we'll say that agribusiness adds value to product and thereby increases the net profit. Excuse me. So we call it agribusiness value chain because it adds value to products and thereby increases the net profit. So as products go through the value chain actors, value is being added. That's why it is called value chain. And as value is being added, the net profit is increasing. Agribusiness establishment leads to strengthening of infrastructural facilities in their host communities. When we come back to discussion, I would love to hear this, and it's still going to be part of our presentation too. The strengthening of infrastructural facilities in the host communities. When in agribusiness terms, when your raw materials are heavy, like for example, you are dealing with cassava, yam, they are bulky. The advice is that the technical advice is that you locate your you should locate your factory or your processing plant close to the source of raw materials. So, for example, like that, if your organization, your firm is now located close to the rural areas, you need road to get to where you are. So, if you patch your road, others will also use it. If you have light, you can generate a little some points to the community. If you have water, you can give them points for them to get water. So, the location of factories processing facilities in the rural areas, they lead to infrastructural facilities, strengthening of infrastructural facilities in those host communities, expansion of credit, raw material supply agencies, and adoption of modern technologies in production and marketing of agricultural products. So we can see, if I now tell us to explain that agribusiness is able to sustain an economy, I'm sure we will have a lot to say on that. So at this point, I will say thank you, and we'll come to comments and discussion. I'll get back to class now. We'll get back to class. Okay, so I've stopped sharing. I'm now back in the class. All right. Um, I want us to. Okay, Ms. Ekundayo, is your hand raised?
No, I am clapping for the
Oh,
class,
thank
ma.
you. All right, thank you, thank you, sir. I didn't see the emoji well enough. All right, thank you. So I want us to now, what we have next is to talk about our experiences in agribusiness. Which part of the sector have you had an experience before? Is it input supply? Is it uh, the core production sector, or is it the output sector, marketing, processing, and or marketing? Or have you worked with any organization before that had backward integration, that is producing uh, 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 planting what they use as raw materials for their major processing? So let's have experiences, the experiences you have had in agribusiness, up to date. Yes, Mr. Akundayo, I think we should start from you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. Your class is actually very, very spot on, and it resonates with my journey in the agribusiness space since 2019. And so I'd like to start by saying that I majorly play in the vegetable value chain. And when you said when you talked about the the output aspect, being able to produce when it is in the exact form that it is needed, in the right place and at the right price, it's it speaks to my experience when I first came into the sector in 2019, and I wanted to play as a market linkage person. And I was wondering when the data read that there was a 60%, 50% post-harvest losses. So while I was wondering why the farmers, I mean, while that data was there, and I thought that I could just come and leverage, I realized that the farmers in the rural communities were not able to produce what the market wanted when the market wanted it and at the right price,
Oh, yeah.
around the year. So, and of course, I also, in my further digging into why the space was like that, I also realized that the farmers had lots of challenges accessing inputs. The farmers did not even understand, what type of input they needed. They didn't have the education at that time as to if they should use hybrid seeds, and if they bought hybrid seeds, what volume of herbicide should be used. So it took lots of interventions, education, to get the farmers to now understand, how to produce vegetables, in the right form, in the right time, in the right and at the right price. And one of the changes that we now experience in these communities that I devoted my time to work in is development now started to pour into those communities, because now they now produce the right type of vegetables that is globally accepted. As a matter of fact, if you know Ekiti very well, because that's where I reside and do business, there are some roads that are bad. As a matter of fact, one of the roads that has been complained to be bad right now is currently facing is being repaired,
Wow.
because it is a linkage. The road is linking to a community in Ekiti State, the Ario community, that now grows the largest, that now produce the largest volume of tomatoes um, in Ekiti State, and arguably one of the top largest producer of tomatoes in Southwest Nigeria. So,
Wow.
and this was as a result of the fact of that the road leading to that community is needs to be fixed. If not, the volume of tomatoes that is being produced will go to waste, and then people will not be able to access it. So that road is currently being fixed, which speaks to one of your points when you said that development will definitely come, as a result of good agribusiness practices. So yeah, so that's, I mean, so many things that you said that resonates with my experience and some of the things that I currently do. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Well, that's great to know that. I'm sure. I'm just thinking also that if we have such interventions in more places, not necessarily even doing the work for them, but making them to realize what we make the produce acceptable, both at domestic and world markets, it will go a long way. It will go a long way. I hope all these interventions will really help the farmers the more. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Haron, can we listen to you from the lecture and from your experience? What can you tell us? You will need to unmute your microphone, sir. Hello, Mr. Wilfred. Okay. Hello, you are muted again. Mr. Wilfred, you are muted again.
Hello,
Okay. Hello, we can hear you now.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, as I've introduced myself as a farmer, and I'm just listening to the concept of agribusiness, and we have input sector, production sector, and output sector. And I could see that from my experience, we have a lot of challenges in all those sectors. When we talk of the input sector, we are talking of inputs from pesticides and herbicides, farm instruments. So in the rural areas, we see that farmers are only using cutlasses and hoes. The advanced commercialized farming is not really very visible in the community where I have my farm. Then when we talk of the marketing sector, in most cases, farm products prices are determined by the buyers and not by the farmers. So in that case, the farmers are shortchanged, whereby you struggle all through the year, and at the time of harvesting, you are now faced with buyers determining the price at which they are buying your product. Take, for example, cocoa now. it is an international commodity, and the prices are determined by international market, whereby the producers or farmers have no control over the price at which the products are sold. Then we talk of the production aspect, where we are using, the small scale farmers are still using cutlasses and hoes. Many of them are not, these instruments of farming are not competitive. So at the end of the day, the production, their yield is very low. So those are a lot of challenges in all the three sectors. From my own experience, there are a lot of challenges. Even in the production sector, it's difficult to even have laborers, human laborers, not to talk of machineries. They are not available. Farmers cannot buy high-grade equipment like bulldozer, like harvester, like planters, drones, and others. And the government are not providing all these things. They are not available for lease or hire. So at the end of the day, farmers are not really producing high yield products. So a lot of challenges in all these sectors. That is why we are here to see how we can gain from the experience of lecturers and also co-students, and see where we can move forward from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think Mr. Ekunda, you spoke to some aspects of that submission. I want us to discuss the challenges that Mr. Wilfred has brought to the table. Yes, please let's contribute. Yes, Madam Doyi.
Sorry, ma, I didn't really get the question now.
He was talking about different challenges in the different sectors of agribusiness. So, Mr. Ekunda, I'll still come to you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want us to contribute. Did you listen to Mr. Wilfred? So he was
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
about the
Yes, ma'am, I
challenges
did.
in different, yes. So
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
have contributions to that.
Okay, ma. For that labor aspect, that's one of the things I intended to discuss before. Some of these my students, when they are discussing with me, they usually tell me that they have challenges with labor. Their demands are always very high. Some will make requests for accommodation, feeding, some mobility devices like motorcycles and the likes. And, at the end of the day, when they calculate the amount of the labor they are paying and they do their profitability, they will realize that they make very meager profit just because they just had to satisfy their labor force. So the guy told me that there was a time he had to sit them down, and because most of these farmers, because they have other businesses that they are doing, maybe like diversification, and they are getting income, they do not really know the impact of that labor, how much it has been sapping them. They do not really know the effect. So because they are getting money elsewhere and they feel that, well, we are okay, we are still trying to make ends meet. But this guy said he sat those laborers down and he told them, see guys, I'm not making money from this farm. Let us all sit down and let us discuss about this. Let us do some calculations together. And they sat down, they did some calculations, all the inputs and every other thing that they needed. And when the harvest came, they also calculated the amount they made. And when the laborers saw it, they were like, wow. He said they willingly came back the next season to come and help him without putting pressure on him for so much
On
demands
him.
that they have been making. Yes, ma'am. So that is one of the experience. Maybe with time, I also have something to say about interventions too. Interventions on the
Please go ahead.
community. Maybe when okay, ma. Towards the end of your lecture, you mentioned something on sustainability, and which is very key now. And this sustainability is speaking to, making provision for the current generation without jeopardizing the ability of the future generation in making their own too. So this talks about environmental well-being, profitability, and social well-being. And that social well-being is that intervention, is that aspect of intervention. How well are the communities around these agribusinesses faring? How well are they really faring? Are they at the mercies of the people that are practicing agriculture, or are they benefiting? Okay, there's a particular company, while interacting with my husband, because of the nature of the work he does, he travels a lot. And so there was a time he went to Iseng and he came back. He said, wow, I saw something so great in Iseng and Okeogun in general. There's a company called West African Milk Company, WAMCO, and he said that they
Wamco.
have a, yes, ma'am, they have a milk collection center. They are the
Yes.
makers of peak milk. So they have milk collection centers. And through in Iseyin and its environs, all these Fulani, they come with their milk. They have given them specifications, precisions on what they want. And they will come with their cans of milk and come and deposit. And while maybe on their way back home, they would have gotten the alert of the milk they brought, depending on the quantity they may have brought. And this made them to be more proactive in their cow milking and rearing. And gradually, it was taking their attention away from conflict. It was taking their attention from going to invade people's farms with their cows and the rest. And they found purpose because they know that each day they go to that milk company, they will always earn their money. So why the need to fight in the community that is supporting us? And this changed their orientation. That's the little I want to say about that. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, that WAMCO is one of um the PhD candidates here is working on that project,
Okay,
and
Ma.
is about to defend that thesis now. So that gave me an insight into the WAMCO activities. So that what led to it was the requirement, the Nigerian government requirement that I think about 10% of their uh, milk um, milk input should be sourced from within, should be sourced domestically. So that was what made them to bring all these farmers together. And so there are lots and lots of activities. So that program is called the Dairy Development Program. So once
Okay,
your
Ma.
milk, they have their standards and all that. And so they have those farmers in clusters. So they deal with them in clusters. And that's one of the things that probably we'll likely discuss if we come that way, that they have them in clusters. So having them in clusters, it is easier to deal with them. So they teach them the technologies that they require to make the milk acceptable. So once they test the milk and it's acceptable, they they collect the offtake from them, and they are paid just like you explained. And you can imagine, if it is not only in milk production, if we have such for different value chain, that will go a long way in helping. They are small scale too. It's only that they bring them together so much. I think Mr. Ekudayo, one of the things that there was a meeting that brought us together. One of the things we learned there is having farmers in clusters. It helps. So once you bring them together in clusters and they share the same value in terms of production, it will now be like you are getting output from a single large commercial farm. That's the issue.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if they cannot, if individually what they are producing is not so significant, when you have them in clusters, they will bring out the output of a large commercial farm, and you'll be able to oversee them. So one of the ways that have been proven that farmers can be brought together to get good output from them is dealing with them in clusters. So once they are in clusters, they will be on the lookout for their colleague that will not do well. All right, thank you, Madam Doi. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, Mr. Akunda, I will come back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Uh, a few of the things that I wanted to share has been said, and great insight from the last contributor. Um, I also want to say that the challenge of access to labor is a global issue. However, in other climes, they are driving theirs with technology. Youths in general
Yes.
don't want to work, but the sudden change in how we lost interests or labor access to labor is due to the devaluation of the naira, and forex became a thing of an issue where initially where the farms in Nigeria that used to be the jackpot destination for other African countries stopped being the destination, and it made it difficult for the real value of money to be sustainable and substantial for farm owners. So what that means is this: so you see farms that used to make um 2 million naira in a cycle make about the still making about the same thing, but the price, the things for which 2 million naira can buy in a cycle is no longer the same things that 2 million naira can buy in a cycle now. So because they cannot afford to pay livable and sustainable wages to laborers find it difficult to stay on the farm. So when um um excuse me, when Mr. Wilfred said that the the laborers will ask for bikes, they will ask for apartments, they'll ask for food. These are the normal things that they should ask for. But the problem now is that the value of these things have gone up. Before we didn't use it was a part of the payment system. The laborers come to your farm to work. A part of the payment system is that you get them a bike. And that was when a bike costed less than 100,000 naira. But how much does it cost to get a bike now? About 1 point something million naira, 2 million naira. So, and then you ask yourself, how much are you really making? Right. So, but one of the solutions, apart from what has been discussed, which is cluster farming, dealing with them in cooperatives and all of that, is that farmers should farm to scale. They should farm at scale rather. So it means agriculture has a way of making you dream very big. You want to have 5 hectares. You want to start with 5 hectares. You want to do 10 hectares, right? So, but farming at scale will mean that instead of starting off with 5 hectares, you start with one plot that you can manage for yourself, and then start to, introduce little technologies that you can add to make it sustainable, even even when you don't have laborers coming, to work with you. But it's something that you can easily manage as you now scale. You can now start to grow enough revenue to introduce one laborer that can sustain your capacity as a farmer. I can work with you as a farmer, at your capacity, and you can pay livable wage to that one farmer. So you will not find yourself in a situation where you have already um, prepared land, 5 hectares, and now you now need 20 laborers to till the land, right? You cannot pay all 20 laborers, and then they come, they discover that the living condition for working with you is not good, and then they leave you, and then your entire investment is down the drain. So I usually advise that if you cannot find yourself in a situation where you work in a cluster or cooperative arrangement, grow your farm at scale and capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's the simple truth. Your investment will go down the drain if you start very big without having a reliable source of labor. It goes down the drain. So it's better to start small and scale up, though we have economic issues to interrogate there. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Madam Olajide Taiwo, can we listen to you? Please always remember to put your first name until I get used to these names. All right. Can you speak to us? Hello, please unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Okay. All right. You're welcome.
So based on my own experience, I've never worked for anyone before. So in running my business on my own since from school. To me, I think the production doesn't really worth it. Because when you spend so much to produce, and when you take it to the market to sell to people, they start pricing you down. Just like the other man said, that we don't have the power to decide the price on our own. So it's a big challenge to us, ma.
Okay. Let's pick that aspect of the discussion that the farmer does not have the production sector becomes more tedious because the farmer does not have the power to fix the market price. Why? Mr. Wilfred talked about when it is harvest time. When it is harvest time, that's when everybody brings the produce from the farm. When it is harvest time. And so it is not that the farmer just does not have power to dictate the price. It is the forces of demand and supply at that point in time. So because supply is more than demand during the harvest, and normally in agriculture, you usually call that period peak season. During the peak season, prices come down. Then there is this cobweb theory. The problem with farmers in the developing country is that whatever sells well this year, everybody will come to it in the coming season. And when the harvest comes, they will have more of supply on demand and the prices will fall. And in the following season, people will run away from it. And the few that produce, we have higher prices for the little supply that they're able to make. So it continues on and on like that. We call that cobweb theory. Now, talking about the harvest season, one thing that is very critical is the ability to process whatever you produce, and you are able to wait till the off-peak season to sell it. During the peak season, surely everybody's bringing harvest from the farm, and whatever comes to the market will determine the price that it will be sold. So during harvest season, supply will be more than demand, and when it is, the prices will fall. But now that is the economic analysis. But what can we actually do to face that challenge? Yes. So what can we do? What can we do? Mr. Azuko, can you unmute your microphone?
Yes, ma. Good evening, ma. Good evening, class.
Good evening, sir.
Apologies, I joined late.
Okay.
So, for this particular problem, it has been an issue, just like you said, the I think cobweb issue. It's always like that for commodities, agricultural commodities. At the peak of the season, you find out that prices are low. So, and just like some of my colleagues have said, we do not have power over that price. To a very large extent, the government can support in this aspect by enforcing like a price floor and a price ceiling sort
Price
of.
ceiling.
Yeah,
Okay.
such that you say where you sell for whoever cultivates maize, for instance, in this particular year, they should not sell for less than 25,000 naira or 30,000 naira per bag, considering how much they must have spent on input and other things. So I'm in the pesticide sector, that's an input sector, and also seed sector. That's what I do. At the moment for this year, farmers are complaining from their sales from what they got from last year. The price of this input is still high. In fact, it's still as high as it was last year. However, what they sold a 100 kg bag of rice or 100 kg bag of maize in year 2024 is not the same as what they are selling in year 2025. The price has crashed. The masses are happy, but the farmers are not happy.
They
So
can be.
exactly. So in this case, by the time it will discourage farmers from going into agriculture, from going into production. Certainly by next year we may, I am sure if nothing is being done about it, we'll discover um lower number of people going into cultivation, because if you look at it critically, it is cheaper to just go to the market and procure whatever it is that you want. So for this, then there's this the activities of middlemen also plays a very big role in all of these things, and where they buy and then they hoard, and they wait till they wait till the season, till it's scarce before selling, and then farmers at most times are at the mercy of these guys. They mostly sell at farm gate, and when you're selling at farm gate, you sell at a very low price. So individuals may not be able to do anything about this. The government has to come in and then maybe partner with uh, private organizations and say, okay, this is how we have to go about it. A farmer cannot cultivate 1 hectare and he spent 1 million naira and then he's not getting up
He's
to.
getting 200,000.
Yeah, exactly. So it will
And do you
discourage.
know?
Mm.
Okay, Mr. Ekunda, I will come back to you. But do you know that currently the government is saying that prices have crashed?
Yes,
When there
they
was
crashed
nothing
the
done,
prices.
when there was nothing done to alleviate the sufferings of people that spent so much on input. And
True.
somebody was saying it on radio this morning that they said prices have crashed. Is it not because people have vested at this time and there's no way for them to save it? That's why prices have, not all the prices have crashed. It's only those ones that are being produced at this time and they don't have any means of saving them. That's why not all the prices have crashed. Not all. Not all. It's just those ones that were in the peak season. And just like you said, if cobweb theory should hold, then we should wait for a very high price trouble next time, in the next season. It's really not going to be funny. So, like you said, there's government part in it. There's government part in it. The floor and the ceiling prices. But if the government should set the floor price, it means that the government is ready to buy at that price. And whoever is not able to sell can take it to the government to buy. The government can mop it up. And if there's a ceiling price, it means that the government is ready to release what they have mopped if they have been able to into the society so that the price will not go. People that have been doing that before, those people that buy during the peak season and they save and store them till the off-peak seasons. So during that time, they will bring out whatever they have bought. So they do a kind of dampening the price, not allowing it to go beyond the point and not allowing it to go below a certain point. So they mop the excess and bring out the excess during the off-peak. So they make it available throughout the year at not too high price. And they ensure that farmers also sell at not too low price. So it's a big deal. It's something that requires great understanding. So what they are boasting about now is that prices have crashed. They are not crashing because there is help or because the farmers are helped. to ensure that they produce and they produce sustainably. It's not because of that. It is because of the forces of demand and supply, that it is the harvest season and the farmers have much to sell. But very soon they will mop everything. So we just, Mr. Kundayo, yes, I can see your hand.
Thank you very much, Ma. I have a lot. I have a lot to say, but I hope I'm able to say them coherently. So first of all, the government is, yapping about how they have crashed the price, intentionally so, because the government needs to save its face in the, to the general population that they are doing something about food security. And what they've done is to also open the border to personally, the government imported grains massively this year to intentionally crash the price of grains. And that's the rice, that's the maize. What the government has done wrongly is to not also compensate the farmers. And that also speaks to how
Who are
much
produced at very high
who are
costs.
produced, the local producers who are produced at very high cost. That also tells you how much of care the government has for its people, especially its farmers. Again, when you look at the federal government, especially, you really get to wonder if it really cares about food production. Because insecurity is still largely an issue, um, largely under reported and controlled. They control how insecurity is being communicated across
Reported.
the media, reported across the media house. But in all of this, I live in Ekiti State. I said this earlier, and I know what Ekiti State government is doing about grains, especially maize. Again, the state government is actually buying from farmers at a very profitable rate. So farmers in Ekiti State who has grown maize are not even bothering to look for off-takers to pick up from them. They are selling directly to the government, and the government is excuse me, the government is buying it off them, saving it for its poultry sector, using it as input for its poultry sector. Amazing thing that the government of Ekiti State is currently doing with respect to grains.
That's
That being
wonderful.
said, and just like what Mr. Theophilus said, Mr. Sukwa said earlier, there's the role of the government to put a price ceiling and price floor arrangement in place. But what the impact of that is going to alter in some ways the forces of demand and supply. And I think that's what the government is trying to not to do. The government is not trying to interfere with the forces of demand and supply at all. But again, in them not trying to interfere with the forces of demand and supply, they're directly doing that by opening the
They
border.
increase supply. Yeah, they increase
You
the
understand?
supply. So the
So
prices
somehow they are
come down.
interacting.
It's economic theory.
Exactly. So, but again, like I said, why they've done that is to save their face against, towards the coming election, to say they are doing something. They want to make headlines. But if you leave the farmer, and this is what I have come to realize, if you leave the farmer alone, the farmer will keep pushing up its price against the against not minding if the consumers are able to buy it. Because the farmer again is an individual that is in business and does not mind making 100%, 200%, 1000% returns on investment, right? So if you leave the farmer alone, they will keep shooting up their prices. And one thing I've also realized is the farmer does not know when to stop. And this is why I say this in terms of pushing the agenda for high price. This is why I say this. The average tomato farmer last year, um, when the price of tomatoes went up as much as 1,200 naira per kg, you know, they didn't care that people were complaining that it was expensive. Left for the farmer, they wanted it to continue like that, even though yes, there was the impact of climate change, but if despite the impact of climate change, you know, if you go back to the drawing board and calculate how much you invested, how much was your yield and how much did you sell, the gross revenue that was made, you take out the cost of production, they were making over 600 to close to 1,000% return on investment. They still complained, the moment the price went down to 600 naira, 700 naira, they still complain that, oh, they didn't make plenty of profits, right? So if you leave the farmers alone, they will still push their agenda for high prices. So there needs to be a balance, and that balance cannot come except the government intervenes in one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's a serious matter. Actually, the farmers are ready to push and push and push and push and push without stopping. Without stopping. Okay, where do we find a balance? There are some other discussions on other topics in other or in other courses, in short, talking about even if prices are brought low now and farmers can save their grains in some warehouses and all that, that they can get the right percentage of moisture and they can save here and there, they can still save their face. So that it will not be that during the harvest season, they just have to sell and they just have to sell. It's a big issue, actually, that we can never finish to discuss in a single lecture. So the political class in Nigeria, they are going about it the way they want. But the truth has been spoken by Mr. Kodayo. If farmers are also left alone, and you see, there are times you even wonder, not even the farmers like that, but these middlemen, when the farmers bring their produce out or when they go to buy it from them, they ensure that they buy at a reasonable price. But when they come out from those farmers, they begin to make it skyrocket. So they ensure that they put whatever they can. Mr. Ekunda is very right, that if you leave them, those farmers, some of them, and especially those middlemen, they will want the price to go higher and higher and higher and higher without any restraint. Okay, but can we say the government has done too well by not thinking about these local farmers? Like he said, there's no compensation for them. And many of them have bought fertilizers, they have paid labor, they have paid for improved seeds and all that. And many of them cannot break even now. They cannot break even. You know how much a pickup load of cassava was last time and how much it is now? Very terrible. Very terrible. The difference is too much. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Let's have other contributions, please. Let's have other contributions. I'm sure our presentation will start by next week. Let's have other contributions. Okay, Madam Zele, have you spoken to us on this? Let's have your contribution.
I would be sharing my experience as a marketer of the chicks and also the poultry farmer. I'll start first talking about the price, the cobweb issue. We as marketers, we experience it a lot. I am one of the distributors for Vertex Farms, for example. And speaking of crops, if you're unable to sell your crops at the fixed prices, there's possibility of storage till maybe the next season or the next selling market date. In our own case, we deal with live animals. And because we have market days, Mondays and Thursdays, if you're unable to sell off your birds at the market price for that day, by evening time, they're being priced ridiculously. And because not everybody who sells in the market has a farm where they could go raise those deals for maybe like 4 weeks. You have to sell at ridiculous prices. Most times, less than half of the hatchery price. It's a very big challenge we have in the market because we have an association who we expect sometimes to regulate the prices. But unfortunately, because everybody is after his or her personal gain, we're unable to control the prices. So we leave it to the hatcheries to fix the prices. If the hatcheries fix their own selling price, as a marketer, you have to be very careful not to overprice your own chicks. If not, at the end of the day, you will be at the receiving end. Today is Monday, and I will share a typical example. Given what happened at the last market, like last week, Thursday, most people who are stocking broilers for Christmas have already done that.
Okay,
yes. Either as farms or households or personal backyard farm. So most of the patronages we are getting from the market now are from people who are into frozen chicken business. Every year, on every typical year, from end of August to end of October is our peak season for those who are stocking for Christmas. But we noticed some unusual trend this year. Most people started stocking from July. And by second week in September, we're already having serious fluctuations in prices. But I would say that the hatchery price, number one, contributed to it. Agritech, for example, was going for as high as 2,100 naira per day old chick. We haven't factored the cost of feed. We haven't factored the cost of feed for it, cost of treatment, cost of vaccination. And because people need it, we feel like there's demand for it. We just have to go and purchase it from the hatchery and struggle to sell it. For about 2 or 3 markets, it seemed like it was moving. But by the 4th market, it's quite an unrealistic price. One day old chick at 2,100, when we know that in some cases, between the market and your destination, in a person of 50, 4 or 5 may have been dead.
Yeah.
So it affected a lot of things. And everything that starts the beginning always has an end. So typically, the season for this year has come to an end. By end of last market, last week, Thursday, yes, people got into a lot of huge losses. For example, some hatcheries wrote 1,500. And by evening, you are selling at 800 naira, 900 naira per chick. That's about 600 naira loss per chick. And you have 50 in a carton. So that's 30,000 naira loss per carton. And some people have as little as 10, some have as much as 50 or 100 cartons. So you multiply that loss by the number of chicks you have.
Or bed.
So today, everybody seemed to be careful. Annoyingly, the hatcheries still did not reduce their prices. So they just felt the marketers who need it or who have demand for it would have no choice than to purchase. But it did not look that way today. Everybody came this morning and everybody was looking like what's going to happen today. Those who were ready to take the risk went ahead and still got some. But the profit margin was really small. Some were selling at cost price for fear of delaying to sell to make profit and then losing at the end of the day.
Losing, yeah.
I happen to fall in that category today.
Wow.
Some people sold at cost price. Some people made profit of maybe like 1,000 naira per carton. But by 4 p.m., I don't know what happened. The demand picked up again. And, yes, it's funny and it happens like that sometimes. So if you don't really understand this whole cobweb thing, it could put someone in some serious financial mess as a marketer. There's no assigned body in our organization or our association that stipulates price per market. We leave it to the hatchery. When the hatchery fixes their own cost price and the birds get to the market, we look at the trend. Permit me to speak Yoruba. Apologies to those who don't understand. They will say Toban law, if it's moving, they will increase the profit margin. But Toban law, like what happened today, you leave it at cost price or maybe just a little profit.
Yeah.
So it's a demand and supply thing. And if one is not careful, to observe the demand and supply, sometimes you just get yourself with some unnecessary losses. So that's a major challenge where I do business. Then as a poultry farmer, one of our major challenges is the cost of feed. You can purchase feed at a certain price for this period of time, and then suddenly the prices go up. I am into egg production, and sometimes the production in the farm is not going as expected for a number of reasons. It could be due to weather condition, it could be due to some medications or treatment they are going through. But it does not in any way, how do I put it? It does not in any way stop the market price for eggs. Feed, in most cases, does not determine the price for eggs. If the cost of feed may be high, you just have to keep selling eggs at that particular price. It may not really be profitable to you at that time because the production is not as high as expected, but you will still keep having to buy feed. You still keep having to buy feed to keep the farm running. And it can be very worrisome sometimes. So that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we actually looked at it from the crop production angle. Now we have looked at it from livestock. As you said that about the day old, what about the about feed production? Now once you bring them out of the pond, you have brought them home. If you want to return them, it's no longer workable. That you bring them out, you think they should have been sold. And if you keep your livestock, the more you keep them, the more you feed them. Once they have attained the optimal weight, the more you feed them, the more losses you have. Okay. Thank you, Madam Zede. Thank you. I can see that that's a practical one.
Yes,
very, very practical experience. And some of the problems today now is that somebody wanted to buy chicks around me and was talking about, I think they were 3 weeks old or something. She was saying 3,000 plus K. Now that you are telling me that even the day old was almost going for 2,000. So what are we talking about?
Yes.
The 3 weeks old. So what are we saying? I just wonder. Well, things are not so stable at this time, but we hope they will become stable as time goes on. Okay, I want to ask, do we have other comments? Please let me know if you have other comments. The discussion has been so much, but as we take the topics one by one, we'll be talking about them again and again. Do we have other comments on the discussion today? Oh, every microphone is muted. So do I assume that our discussion so far today? Okay, Mr. Aaron, do you want to? I can see your mic unmuted.
Hello.
Hello, sir. All right, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Well, the discussions have been very interesting, and we have concentrated so much on the pricing of products. From what I have heard so far, from my own experience, we have seen the supply of farm products higher than the demand. Also, some factors that that are not within the control of farmers, like some of the products are perishable, which you cannot store for more than 3 days. There are some you cannot store for more than 1 week. There are some you cannot store for 3 months. So because they are perishable, farmers are pushed to quickly sell their products so that they will not have post-market losses due to the perishability of their products. Secondly, the way to solve this is if the farmers have a way of preserving these products, either by chemical, or by adding value by processing the products to prolong the product life. Then another issue that is affecting farmers' prices, like cocoa, for example, now. Last year, cocoa was selling for about 12,000 per kg. As we are talking now, it is about 5,500, between 5,000 to 6,000, depending on the states where we are talking about. But in my state, where my farm is the cocoa price now is 5,500 per kg compared to about 12,000 last year. Then when you look at the cost of inputs, for example, labor, last year, labor was about 20,000 per acre. This year, it is 30,000 per acre. And other farm inputs have gone up. And the traders, the suppliers of this farm input, they will tell you because their products or their materials were imported and it is due to exchange rate, the rate of exchange, naira to dollar. Now, the rate is going down now. Prices of food products farm products are coming down, but the cost of inputs are going up. Despite the fact that
that's the problem.
yes, the cost of inputs, labor and others are going up. The suppliers of this input, they will not tell you that the naira to dollar, the dollar rate is coming down now. You know, so we have to look at this input cost and the prices. Now when you look at going to the input as well, when we talk of land, or even talk of, let us even take a look at the credit, bank loans. How many farmers can obtain? We are talking of small scale farmers, smallholder farmers to say medium size farmer. Medium size farmer can obtain loan for about a year, but they cannot obtain loan for more than a year for a long-term period for a big farm. Because when we look at farm is not a short-run business. It's a long-term business. Someone who is farming cocoa or rubber or palm trees we are talking of about 3-4 years before they start producing. And credits are not available to these farmers because the banks are not prepared to take risk. The commercial banks in Nigeria are not prepared to take risk on a longer term farm. Even the shorter term, we are talking, if we talk of 1 year, 9 months, even the banks, because of this risk of perishability, because of climate change affecting farm, they are not willing to give loan to smallholder to medium size firm. They are only giving credits to big companies that that have the collateral or that have the will to or the power to obtain loans. So these are problems. These are problems. So I have
Mr. Erao, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Even though the discussion of the challenges was not the direction of the class today, but it was good that we were able to look in that direction. But we have a lot to learn in this class from the presentations and then from discussion. We have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And that will start next week because class members will begin to present. So we'll look at the topic and see the application to the terrain around us. Thank you, Mr. Wilfred. Thank you, Madam Doi. Mr. Kundayo, Madam Olajide Taiwo, Mr. Azuko, and Madam Zele. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to class today. So next week our presentation will start. Mr. Wilfred, please ask admin to add you to the course page so that you have access to whatever information we share on the course page. Well, at this note, I wouldn't mind to say thank you for the class today. We have started on, do I call it a sober note now, due to all these discussions. But we'll look into different aspects of them one by one from next week by God's grace. So I will say good night to our families. Thank you very much.
Good night, ma. Thank you, ma.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.